We should bring back philosopher.
Right. We should bring back philosophers.
We have thought leader now.
And thought leaders are a bit cultish, you know? Like it has a slight tone of cult, you know what I'm saying? You're a thought leader. Hey, do we contribute? No, I'm a leader. Whoa.
Always take the hard path because it's going to show you things. It's going to teach you a lot about yourself and about your resilience and your grit. You have to be able to be okay in leadership with everybody not being happy with the decision that you
I know,
make.
that's so hard.
It's the hard part.
Morning.
Good morning.
I like this weather.
Oh.
I like this weather. Okay.
Okay. I have to not laugh at you doing that.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Top of the morning to you.
How are you today?
I am grand. As you can see, I am wearing a beautiful green here. So, you know, I feel as smooth as the pastures of my shirt.
You have to compliment my dress.
Right.
Talk
It
about
felt like an interview, right? Didn't it? I was like, thank you for having me. Sorry. Let's go back to the top.
Hey guys, it's Imani. Welcome to CultureCon Uncut Season 2. Joined again by my fabulous friend, very problematic, but lovable, Ike Slimster. Hello.
Hello.
How are you this morning?
I am fine, thank you. How are you? You look amazing in that purple.
Thank you. It's giving royal.
Yeah, a regal gift.
It's Hanifa.
Of course, she does what needs to be done.
And I love it because I feel like I could be lounging in the house.
Absolutely.
Because this is my apartment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I could be out to dinner, which I'm going to later tonight.
Of course you are.
It's so cozy.
I mean, you look ready for it.
Yeah, it's free. I mean, so later today, we're talking to Abdul from AfroFuture. So I think it is.
Oh yeah, I know him. Yeah. You know, comrade. You know,
comrade of sorts.
Yeah, you know, we served the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're talking about building in public.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we talked about this, you know, you being a comedian and kind of like the stand-up world.
A title I did not bestow upon myself, but unfortunately, you know,
yeah. What are your
here.
thoughts on, I guess, the public part of building things?
Two-edged sword, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you understand what that's like. You know, you went from 1 minute being corporate and then next minute being a person of interest and then having to like, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
It's interesting because I think that when you are building,
Mm-hmm.
it's more about actually this isn't as perfect as it looks.
Yeah.
Because I think without that, I don't know, you're creating like a false narrative.
I would say you are one of the few pioneers in that. You know, you documented your journey pretty well. If you guys
Really?
haven't seen Imani's Dump, it's one of the top of the line. First of our era. I'm serious. I'm not kidding.
It's so hard to have conversations with you because you're never serious, actually.
I'm so serious. The Dump is the first of our era. Nobody actually documents the...
Everyone documents.
Not that vividly. Are you kidding me? You had the pictures from your stoop.
Oh, see, I'm thinking more of like the vlogs.
Yeah,
like I have
you're
a
thinking...
picture.
No, not the vlog. I'm talking about the photo dump
Yeah.
of every step of the way.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a very vivid dump. People don't like have that for every step. They skip.
Okay.
Yeah.
We might follow different people. I feel like I've seen it.
Yeah, you probably have seen
It wasn't
different-
that original.
No.
I'll take
it
the
wasn't
credit.
Original?
But to show a picture of yourself
No, I have to
5
go
years ago?
looking. No, I have to go looking because people have... You're talking about 10 slides. 10 slides worth of your journey.
You don't think the average founder has 10 slides of their journey?
Not the embarrassing stages either, because everyone's telling... That's the problem, though. We already complain about that generally. Like, people have very half-baked stories. They say, just work hard and believe in yourself. Imani showed that she really was...
Hanging on by a
on
thread.
the floor. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was...
Gluing flowers.
Again, yeah, people don't... They show maybe, like, the vision board, show the things on the floor, scattered plans, you know, like, very aesthetic things.
Mm-hmm.
Not, you know, that picture was real.
And I feel it came out of because I kept getting asked the question that this happened overnight. And I was like, wow, like people are finding out about CultureCon.
Mm-hmm.
But this was like a 7 year. 7 years is a long time.
7 years is a long time.
Not the longest time, but it's definitely not short.
I mean, but it's still 7 years. It's a lot. That's like a child.
I wanted to go back to you in terms of what have you, like, do you enjoy building in public? I know that you are someone who very much is like, I have thoughts on things.
Lots of thoughts.
Lots of thoughts on so many things. So do you welcome all of the feedback that inevitably comes your way?
Yes, I welcome all of the feedback because I think it makes everybody needs to feel validated. You know, they need to feel like their opinions matter. That's just a human thing. I don't think that the same way I have to have an opinion on everything that everyone is saying or everything that is happening in culture, I feel like they have to have that. When it comes to building in public, I think that, of course, we're in a time where there's not much grace that's given because you are making mistakes publicly. You're making, you know, all of your flaws are on Front Street. And personally, with something like comedy, the beauty of it, to be honest, I even chose comedy because I wanted to be able to do that. I wanted to be able to like hypothesize in public and theorize, but without, should I say, without harsh criticism.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to like have these thoughts because, first of all, philosopher is not a title anymore that people like just go around throwing. It's not, you say philosopher, it sounds like you took liberal arts in school.
Wait, we should bring back philosopher.
Right. We should bring back philosophers.
We have thought leader now.
And thought leaders are a bit cultish, you know? Like it has a slight tone of cult, you know what I'm saying? You're a thought leader. Hey, do we contribute? No, I'm a leader. Whoa.
I'm leading these thoughts.
Do you know what I'm saying? I'm leading these thoughts, and it's like it's too much
Mm-hmm.
of, you know, a spearheading situation. But yeah, I say all that to say, yeah, it is a tedious thing. And I think that anybody who takes it on is definitely answering a call of honor. How do you think that you handle it? What helps you handle it?
I don't know if I'm really good at handling it. Like I did do one
Oh,
photo dump.
Oh God, here we go.
And I love that photo dump.
Oh,
but I
geez.
think ask my team. They're like, you're not posting enough. So I've just agreed to fail at this.
You're not failing, first of all.
Well, I think that there are more passive ways. Like I think if I were being the most realistic, it would be more documentation of like what I'm already doing. So just sitting up a camera and documenting, but I don't know if it's as fun as, it's not going to be as curated. It's me sitting in front of a computer for 12 hours on team calls. So
you could just get them to notice. I think it's funny because I get those type of remarks every time I do like a travel recap or something, or a party recap, and people say something like, oh my God, like you influencers, all you do is like, you just record everything, you film everything. And I always think it's funny that people sum up a party or an event that was like 3 hours into 60 seconds. Like, do you think that, like, you got 60 seconds, but somehow you think I held the camera the entire time?
Right.
It's the bullet points. It's basically a shot list.
Oh, that's such a good point. Right.
Yeah.
It's a shot list.
It's just a shot list. So if you think about the things that are patterns within your schedule and then you repeat that, it just becomes a muscle. It wouldn't really be, it'll just be like, oh, Imani again for 7 o'clock run through emails. So you just do like a 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cut the camera. Imani's done. And she does it every day.
Wait, you just made that so easy. It's very overwhelming in my mind.
I can imagine, but it is that easy. I promise you. Don't think about it the way the public thinks about content. You have to think about it in a way that like it's like a muscle. You're just working it out. And especially the way you describe it, you're trying to be authentic. You're trying to show, even though that word has been abused.
I know. I was like, ugh.
I know, authentic has been abused, but I could have predicted this 5 years ago. I knew it was going to get commodified. It's just what happens. You can't tell people to get real and then think they're not gonna.
Yeah, it's like on my list of items. It's always the one that I'm like, ding, is the documentation. But I do think there's an opportunity, like you said, to just simplify it in terms of like,
don't worry about
this is the morning.
Yeah, and the more you do, the less you care. I've noticed, like, the more you show, the less you care about what you're showing. It's something I've had to remind myself to. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm so great at it. I'm not good because I drop my content and I leave.
Oh, okay. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so you post something and then you just go about your day.
Yeah, because for the most part, it's like you can't live on there.
Right.
That's like anybody who's like making content, or if you're an artist, or if you're an orator, or you're a thought leader, you need to be just as inspired as you are inspiring. That's like a key thing. And it's something that I try to remind myself. Like, if you're gonna go around telling people, like, life should be, you know, inspiring you. So like you should absorb your surrounding. If you spend all that time on there, you're just gonna absorb what they're absorbing, and now you're feeding them back. But that's why you have things happen and people go, oh my God, Imani, like, where did you get that from? When did that happen? How did that hit you?
Yeah, most of my inspiration comes from offline.
Exactly.
It's very interesting. Another thing I want to ask Abdul later is like, I feel like a lot of times we do talk about the scaling of a thing. And I think a lot of times when we think about scaling, we think about more people. But I think you can also like scale your skills. And I think the secret of scaling your skills is figuring out what you're really good at. Like, do you know, like, as a creative, like, I'm really good at this set of skills. I need to get off my plate these other set of skills, or not really. It's a work in progress.
1,000% need to get some things off my slate. There are I need to.
Like what?
Like what? What do you think I should get off?
Yeah.
The administrative part. I think I shouldn't be handling emails and bookings as much as I'm trying to. Like I should just be able to trust someone to do those things. But unfortunately, I don't think I feel secure in that. Like, so I always find myself like meddling and going in there and like trying to figure stuff out. And and I'm like,
meddling is such a perfect word.
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Because you're like, yeah, I got someone for this, but like still, like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Would they do it like I would do it?
Right. Would they do it like I would do it? And would they accept the things that I would accept or reject things that I would accept?
Mm-hmm.
And there's like so much consideration for that. So like I would have to like be on it.
I got a really good piece of advice from a friend, Carlene Roy, and I was going through the same thing, and I was like, I don't know, they wouldn't do it like I would do it. And she basically created a Carlene blueprint, which is how she prefers everything. Her favorite coffee, like drafted responses to certain emails, rates, everything.
Yeah.
And she gave that to an assistant. And every time something new pops up, they add it to the blueprint. And every time she promotes her old assistant, gets a new assistant, they're all learning from this blueprint. So in theory, once you train one assistant, you never have to train another one. So I borrowed that, and it's been life-changing.
That's beautiful.
So maybe you should.
Oh my God. Oh, thank you. Wow, look at this. A thought leader, huh?
I literally can't take you anywhere.
But you just led my thought. Look at that. It was a thought, and you
led us. I was
led
trying to help, and you know what? I will never help again.
But you did help. I'm just teasing. You know me.
The other thing I want to talk to Abdul about, which I'm really interested in your thoughts, is teamwork. Woohoo!
Teamwork.
What are your thoughts on teamwork?
Because you know I'm a one-man team for most of my operations, especially being artist, comedian, and whatnot. My thoughts on teamwork, I think it is definitely, should I say, it's necessary and it's pivotal and it's important for you to learn. I personally didn't learn along the way because most of my learning process was like solo. Like I learned everything privately, whether it be art, whether it be music, whether it be comedy. Those things are very isolating art forms. So you can't riff off a painting. You can't riff off an instrumental.
But can't someone like be in the audience when you're getting certain laughs and let you know which jokes perform the best? Or you do that kind of on your own?
Yeah, but you're reading them in that situation. Like you're reading their responses. Like the way they respond to your joke is what you use as data for
right, but I'm saying, do you have someone on your team read that data, or you're telling the joke and reading the data?
Yeah, I mean, there's people that they try to, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
They'll be like, hey man, like that little, like this is your third try. Kill it.
Specific.
Yeah, because there's some joke, and you know. You just don't want to admit it to yourself, but you know what's failed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have an idea, but like I think that the teamwork is definitely necessary. The issue is that most of us, especially in this era of so much like tech and AI that helps you actually be an individual run business at a small scale, you have to go out of your way to work that muscle. Otherwise, you can really just get lost in that vortex, in that little silo of yours.
Yeah.
Because more ideas are out there, but like I said, it's a very isolating experience. You have to go seeking. And the seeking part, as we discussed previously about the flirting and socializing, and it's all part of it, right? We're not doing a lot of seeking and yearning anymore as a generation. So it doesn't really help for those of us who are trying to, get into the team building or socializing aspect of our work. So I do believe in it. I just think it's a lot more difficult, to rally troops behind a mission that you're not really clear on.
Well, I think that's honestly the most important part is like, it's really hard to ask for help when you're not clear what you need help in.
Exactly.
I have people all the time that are like, oh, if you ever need help, let me know. And I'm like, well, what can you help with? Because I do need help, but if I need this and you're that, it's not really gonna work. And
if I needed this and you're that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's almost kind of like, I saw this like clip and it was kind of like a mom's home. She's pregnant. She's exhausted. And everyone's like, well, let me know if you ever need anything, versus just coming over with a lasagna and being like, here's dinner. Because it's like the mom doesn't really know. I mean, she needs everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think sometimes when you are trying to build something, half of the battle is the clarity of what do you need help on, so you can like ask people. And even if it's not like a formal team, like you're hiring someone, I think community can still be like an extended version of team, right? It's like
1,000%.
Yeah.
But the problem with community is like it's also like teeters on that line of when the company calls you family. You know what I'm saying?
No, you gotta be.
It's because it's almost there. Because capitalism has corroborated the word. They have taken community, and now it's now a part of branding. So that's a whole other thing now. So you say like you need your community. It's like
No, I mean it literally in a literal sense, in the sense of like when I think about scaling CultureCon, when I think about not being able to do it by myself, I'm not saying you don't pay people.
I mean, you're true to it though. Like you
But,
started as a
yeah.
community. So that's not like it wouldn't be nobody can ever put that to you and say, hey, do you understand the concept? I think when you started CultureCon, it was community oriented. So like that's not debatable, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be part of people that, but I'm saying if anybody came out now and said community first, you know what I'm saying? The people would go, hey, man, listen, everybody's running this.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has become a buzzword, but I also think it's something, I mean, Issa said this years ago, which is like the networking across. I think people sometimes are so fixated on if I can just get there, then everything else will fall into place.
Yeah.
I would beg to argue that a lot of like what you're looking for, it's probably in your phone.
You think so?
Not all of it. But I don't know. I feel I've met people who they're like, oh, I just got to get a meeting with the SVP of a company. And it's really like the coordinator or the manager who's probably going to have more like applicable advice.
Like the dinner with Jay-Z thing.
Oh, right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like when that became a thing, everybody was talking about $500,000 dinner with Jay-Z. And it's kind of like, if you took the $500,000, I'm pretty sure it would put you in places where you could meet 1,000 more minds. Just as sharp,
That's
if
a good
not sharper.
example.
You know, but people like kept debating that and they didn't think about the concept of, hey, you could get really good advice from anywhere else. But yeah, you do have a point there. You just have to get it. But then sometimes some people hold the key to the green light. So that's the issue.
Oh, wait. Okay. Tell me more. What do you mean?
So like, for example, if you wanted to get, say, a Netflix special, right? I don't think you could just, do you know what I'm saying? You can't,
okay, fair.
You can't talk to the janitor. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay.
He's going to be like, you could go to the other floor. I don't.
Yes.
You know, like it's just.
It needs to be a snowball effect, right? Like,
Right.
I think because what you don't want is to get the meeting with the VP and you're not ready for it because that was the only person you could talk to.
Right.
Whereas if you're talking to the coordinator manager, they might be able to set you up in position to win so that the meeting with the VP is more beneficial. All I'm saying is I think we're just overlooking a lot of collaboration opportunities.
A lot of cogs in the machine. I know. The wording, isn't it?
I don't know if I would call them a cog.
Yeah, you don't want to call them a cog.
Like,
this is the problem in our generation. We're sensitive about words.
Because words matter.
They
I
do
can't just like
matter.
nod my head up. I'm like, no, I don't agree with that word.
No, if you agreed to cogs in the machine, they would have held you. That would have been a headline. Ooh.
Ike calls creatives cogs in the machine.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like it would have been a whole thing, but.
What am I? Chopped liver? What am I? Yeah, I mean, for a lot of creatives who have built on lines, I think the other kind of thing you're dealing with is keeping your eye on your paper. Is that something that you've ever experienced in terms of like looking at other creatives, being inspired or?
Yeah, but I came from being an artist. So like, that's my foundation, you know, like, and the problem is it's a pro and a con, right?
And tell people, like, I think I didn't understand because you had been saying artist for a while and I thought you were translating artist to content creator, but you're literally an artist. No. You paint.
Yeah.
Okay, I found this out on IG and I was like, wait, I'm sorry, I called you. I was like, I'm sorry, you paint? So you're literally like, you're a trained...
Yeah.
Is it paintbrusher?
Yeah.
You're a
painter, artist, traditional
artist. Traditional artist.
Yes. So yeah, like I think in that sense, it was more so like that was something I desired, but mostly because it was more like a soul thing. I just thought that was something that would feed me. Like, so I just wanted to do it, so I did it. I didn't have any plan. I didn't have any ideas in mind of what I wanted to do with it. I just wanted to. It was eventually, you know, you keep painting and growing up and everyone goes, hey, you should get in you should put that in a gallery, you know what I mean? Some suggestions. So like my foundation was always produce. I never thought about network or resource or talk to people or talk to talk. I never thought about talking. I never thought about talking. I just kept making work up until it took a while. And then once I finally shifted and got to a space where I was being asked questions and I had to actually do like small little blurbs and interviews for like blogs and articles, I was like, oh, I need to know what I'm about. I need to really talk about myself. I need to like reflect. And that was when I started to realize there's other parts that you could use. But like I said, it's a pro and a con because the way that translates into the creator space is that I don't know how to stay in the creator mind space. This is why I was asking you the question about how do you fare? Because yes, you're coming from corporate, but the creator space requires you to be 100% with the people, communicating, constantly tapping in, giving them a 360 of your entire life. I'm pretty sure that's a little, it gets a little tedious, right? Because that line. So I don't know if you can relate to this. So for me, I think that navigating that has been, it's been heavy. I wouldn't say it's been easy. It hasn't been easy because times I want to be reclusive and I want to keep to myself, and I'm working on a project right now. There's so much I'm going through my mind, but I know then I open TikTok and they're like, you think you're special.
You are special.
You think your project matters. Yeah, right. But then they're telling you, you're going to keep yourself in the trenches if you keep, or your ideas are going to shit. Like the more time you spend on that idea, it's wasting. So you're now conflicted between who you are at your core as an artist and this mass producing, cog in the machine.
Well, I think the speed of culture right now is produce, yes. Get the rest at the end. And I think it is up to us individually. And obviously, I say this generally speaking, because obviously we all have our own kind of responsibilities, but I was doing that and it was not working. And so I have moments of like heavy production, like I'm output. Then I have moments of observation. And in my moments of observation, when I feel the twinge of, you should be producing, I literally resist it. It doesn't mean that I'm not working. It's just that, like, I don't know, I ran track, I did ballet, and in both of those sports, there just were seasons. And the seasons of sprinting at state were different than the seasons of conditioning. And I said this online, but I think it's biblical to be like, I produce something that I'm proud of. And before you ask me what's next, I'm actually just going to be proud of this thing. So I think for me, it's observing, like, because the speed of now is go, go, go. Like, I know that's the speed.
Yeah.
Because of the Industrial Revolution. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of like, we were talking.
It's now the AI revolution.
It's now the era of just I don't know. I think people are kind of realizing that, like, that is coming from a place of, what if I'm left behind? What if the world keeps going? But the other side of that coin is that you're producing these really watered down versions of your idea. Can there not be a happy medium of, when I'm ready? If Frank Ocean came out with an album tomorrow, we would have waited how many years?
God knows. I don't know. Frank Ocean be coming out like one of them, like Bible prophets.
But we would be ready.
But yeah, yes, we would.
And he didn't produce something every other year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a model.
But that's a monumental talent, though. If you're gonna do that,
well,
right?
yes, you should.
Yeah, you have to go out like a supersonic like comet, and then like say I'm gonna go for 10 years, because next time they see me, they're gonna be like, look up in the sky.
That's fair. I mean, he is. Yeah, he is.
Like he's like, come on,
special.
like he's still trending today on like
so special
reels. Like it's kind of like wow. But okay, so like I see your point, and that's good that you took your track lessons into your understanding seasons.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. I mean, like I have been trying to work that muscle and understand seasons, but like I feel so guilty.
I think we all hit the brick at a different place.
Yeah.
So like, if you had been talking to me 2 years ago, I would have been like, but I can't. I got to go. I mean, I understand it. And I think we all hit it. Something makes you run into your humanity and you're just like, I can't do it like this anymore.
Yeah.
So I think the beautiful thing is that we all hit it at different times. And don't get me wrong, there was a time where I was like, I feel so bad.
I love that you call it the brick, not the burnout.
Oh, yeah, it's a brick. Because keep going. Yeah. I mean,
Super Mario, that brick. You know what I'm saying?
My dad
Hop
said,
over it.
Because my dad said it's going to happen now or it's going to happen later. So I think for me, I hit a brick 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And now when it does get crazy, I literally say to myself, not for always. And I really mean it. After CultureCon, I go on residency. I literally rest on purpose.
I mean, as you should. I can't begin to imagine. That's a lot. A lot.
But so is like spilling your guts in front of strangers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know what that that feeling feels like. Talking to people and then resonating with people and then connecting with all these people and then having to then retreat and then reflect on your words and how it impacted people, because the fact that some people are like, oh my God, like this is something that moved me, or I've been holding on to meeting you or this moment for some. You have to think about it because you came up with that in just an isolated, So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of time to reflect. But the thing is, again, we're talking about the grace and I don't think the public will ever understand unless you share the 360. I don't think people would have to have you on their mind to actually understand what you're going through on a private level to create art on a public level.
Which is even more the reason of to rest. You're not on people's minds 360.
Exactly. They're not thinking about you, so
Take a
why
break.
think about them? I'm sorry.
Take a break.
That just came out so organically.
That was so...
I know, it was so raw. Jesus, I'm thinking about you guys.
I am so excited for this conversation today. I feel like Abdul will have a lot to say about building in public, resting, burning out.
I'm sure he knows a lot about that.
Being exhausted. It's going to be great.
His festivals across cities now, so I can't begin to imagine talking about burnout or hitting break.
Or hitting a break.
But you're doing great. Look at you.
Oh, thanks. I didn't eat that, but I'll take it.
I mean, look at you. Like, you don't look like people that are stressed. This isn't how.
Oh, child.
No, we can't tell. Sorry, child.
All right. Well.
You're going to have to sell a little better than that. Don't sell it, actually. That's the point.
Yeah.
And I hope I look the same.
Yes, you do. You do.
Yes, yeah.
You look the same. So rested. So great. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. I am so excited to be joined today by one of my dear friends, Abdul, founders of AfroFuture.
I better be here.
Oh my goodness. We have had so many conversations offline.
Absolutely.
About building in public.
Yeah.
And I really want to spend today really thinking about what made you who you are today. You got to take me back to being a busboy in your father's restaurant.
Absolutely.
How did that shape you?
As a first generation born here in America, there's so many privileges that are reminded to me every day as a kid growing up in the household that I grew up in. And one of the things that both my parents wanted us to do is really just have the understanding of the power of being able to work hard and to earn things. So it was apparent to us since we were young that if we didn't show up and support them in their businesses, that we weren't going to get the things that we wanted. So my dad was really strict. If you want books, come to me. But if you want clothes, you need to work for it. So, I was a busboy at the restaurant, but my dad was also a pretty good chef. He went to school at the New York Culinary Arts School. He worked with Julia Childs, not Julia Roberts.
And, I was like, wait, Julia Roberts?
Julia Childs. He worked with Julia Childs. So we had that picture in the house. And I always wanted to kind of follow him in the things that he did. So I would go with him to the markets. I would, be in the restaurant, watch him cook. I would, try and support him, learn how to do that. And I would be a busboy. And, I would take home like $20 to $40 a day. And at the time, that was a lot of money for a kid growing up, in junior high school and early high school.
And would you say, even as a child, you were learning about the operations of a business?
Absolutely. I grew up around watching my parents start their own business and thrive in their own businesses. So unfortunately, my mom never got an opportunity to go to school. So she was always a businesswoman, trading products from Nigeria to Ghana to Mecca and all over Africa. And then she got a chance to come to America in the early 80s. And she really built her own business. So watching that was something that I was awe-inspired by, even watching her get her citizenship and learning how to read English on her own was inspiring. And then watching my dad, he started his restaurant in a gas station because he could cook. And that turned into him starting his own restaurant. And, with those as examples and me being born here in America, I didn't have a choice but to be successful because look at all they had to go through in order to find success in their life. I needed to show them that I can, make them proud as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just par for the course, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so much of it is, the pressure we put on ourselves in terms of, look at what my parents had to go through. I have to make sure it's not for nothing.
Absolutely.
And I think you look at now AfroFuture, it's a global destination. You all just had a successful stint in Detroit. You're coming back. You just got back into the country. But take us back to the beginning. I think right now, especially when we think about like the highlight reels, there's so much sexiness in terms of the final product.
Absolutely.
But where was the seed planted to say, we're going to build this festival and we're going to take all of these resources back to the continent?
What I did my dad also sent us back to Africa to go to school, and I went to school in Africa for about 7 to 8 years. And in that time, I wanted to just be with my parents. I couldn't stand my stint in Africa at the time, because it required me to sacrifice what I thought was my corner stores and McDonald's and all the things that made childhood in America, or at least I thought at the time, very special. But that experience really kind of informed my life, right? And when I came back to America and I started junior high school and I went through high school, I really had no desire to go back to Africa because
Mm.
of my experience at the time. And when I finally went back, I realized that I had missed so much of the changes that were happening on the continent. And things were, I guess my perspective also shifted because I had gone through college, I had a better experience, and I saw there were just so many opportunities, but people didn't understand it. And people like myself who actually lived there didn't understand it. And I wanted to change it. I wanted to be able to change that. I wanted to be able to change the narrative. So one, I had to educate myself really just to kind of really understand what was happening, who were the players, what can I do, and what was my interest. And for me, it was about storytelling. How do I bring my two worlds together? Although I was born here in America and I have a life that's African, how do I bring those two worlds together? And also, how do I bring my community into that? And that's what led to what would become the festival, a way to communicate between my two worlds. I knew that people would galvanize around music, around art, around fashion, and around food. And how could we
Yes.
tell these stories in a way that was, that can change how people perceived Africa? And also, really, at the time, I feel like there was a New York Times article around young Black millennials traveling around the world. And I saw that they were traveling everywhere but Africa.
Ah, uh-huh.
And we were a part, and I wanted to change that. I wanted to understand why did we didn't have the desire to go back, right? All of these narratives that were written for Africa and not by Africa. And how could we create a space where Africa can now write its own narrative, because we have all these mediums now with telephones, WhatsApp, and all of these apps that allow connectivity in real time that we didn't have when I was younger.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of opportunity.
And it exploded, like, obviously, Daddy December is not new.
No, it's
It's
not.
not new at all, but I do feel like there's been this uptick in terms of rewriting the narrative. So how has that looked to you, and, like, what does that mean for you to see it become, just so centralized in the States?
One thing that is the joy of growing up in America is we don't realize the impact that we have when we come into a space. Yes, 30 December is not new. In Ghana specifically, there used to be a lot of Europeans that came, but they were rarely any Americans,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And we wanted, myself as an American, I was like, well, why are all these Europeans experiencing this joy? And, but they're 6 hours away, some 4 hours away, 5 hours away, whereas we're 10 hours away, 9 hours away. And we wanted to invite our diaspora, our people from America, so that they can have a better understanding and experience on the continent. And that's what Kenny and I did. Like, literally, we just decided to put this festival on together. And we knew that we wanted to make it something that our people could identify with and recognize with, and something that would make them feel comfortable in coming to the continent. We started out, really shooting content, about our experience when we went, and that encouraged people to say, hey, I want to come with you. And 10 people turned into 40 people, 40 people turned into 200 people. And then when we did our festival, it was like 5,000 people for the first time.
Okay, now wait a minute, because what we can't do is 10 people turn to 40 people,
Yeah.
40 people turn to 5,000 people.
Yeah.
So take us back, and I know sometimes, we're, as founders, we're always thinking about what's next, what's next.
Yeah.
You just had a huge successful festival in Detroit. I know you're already thinking about what's next.
Yes, I am.
I know
thinking
I know
about
it's in your
this.
heart, because I'm thinking about, what's coming next too, but as you were scaling from this is just kind of a gathering to this is a full festival,
Yeah.
who were the first people on your team, and what did that look like?
Well, my first partner was Kenny, Kenny Japan. He's a good brother of mine. We had an organization right here in New York City, because what was happening was New York City was going through this vibrant movement with the day parties. I remember when the first day parties came around. I remember when the niche party started, whether it was Tuesday Palooza or the Pizza Zoos, and I was like, well, there's a space for Afro beats,
Mhm.
because at the time you weren't hearing it on the radio. You weren't. There was you had to know if before you could go to a space. So we created a really cool space in New York City where we were doing like 4 to 5,000 people parties, straight Afro beats, right? And that team was called Big Five, and Kenny and I were members of that. And we realized that we had a thing because people were traveling from all over the US and sometimes from Europe to come to our events here in New York City. And as I was learning about partnerships, I was learning that the data was telling us that there was something that we can do here. And that led us to say, hey, we need to go back to the continent and see what was happening there. So, that bravado of what we were doing in the United States brought us to Ghana in 2015. And we tried to throw the same kind of thing we did in the United States. And it didn't do that well.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, what I realized quickly was, one, the positives from the event was that there was a lot of young talent that needed a platform. And we saw that from the first event. And I said, well, we are thinking about this experience incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
We need to add value to the space and showcase all of these amazing talent that we just happen to have in the space, but we didn't really focus our efforts around. And that's what led to what would become the festival, right? I knew that we can showcase these rising talents that need a platform, that need agency, and we can provide that to them. And we could tell a story around food, music, fashion, and art at the same time. All the things that, people we're exporting out, but we have no stories around. And really, that's what became our first experience. And then there was a young kid. His name was Edward, who was my partner. We went to school together in Ghana. But I was the American kid at the time in Ghana, but he knew more about hip hop and more about culture than I did. And
Mm-hmm.
he grew up in Ghana. And I always knew that he understood the nuances of culture, African American culture here in America, and he was very excited about it and enthusiastic. So I knew that when I explained to him what I was trying to do, he'd be that bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So we brought him on board, and he was like our graphics guy, and he put those pieces together. So the three of us really kind of established what it would be, and then we brought on other partners, Vernell Champo. He's also first generation born here in America, but he's great around art and architecture.
Mm-hmm.
So he helped us set up our first installations and our vendors. And we started building our team slowly, little by little, with people with expertise. And that turned into, a 5,000 people festival. We knew how to throw parties, right? So we could do a 2,500 party. That wasn't too bad. But to throw a 5,000 plus people festival on the first time was something that surprised us too. But one of the things that allowed us to figure out what was next was understanding that there was so many things that we could have done that we I guess didn't have the funds to do, but also we didn't have the time to do because it was our first one. So we went from 5,000 to 12,000 the next year. And the next year is when more people in America realized, because obviously we blew up on the Shade Room.
Yes.
You had all these American celebrities there, from Ebro to Nicorari Parker to Ozema St. John and a few others that came that year. Diggy Simmons, a few of them were in that space, and people are like, "Whoa, what's going on here? Why are all these people in Ghana?" And the way that works, the year after was the year of return.
Yes.
And that's when it really got crazy. We went from 12,000 to 16,000. The company scaled really, really fast. Um, Ghana saw an increase in visas from anywhere 150,000 to 1 million visas.
What?
Yeah, in a year. So people that couldn't come in December started coming other parts of the year.
Right.
So the government saw that our impact, as they did their reports, they would see people were finding out because of our festival.
Right.
And, we just continued to grow in that space. And, we did some great partnerships with a lot of brands here in America, from the Metas to the YouTubes to the Audio Mac. Audio Mac is one of my favorite ones
Mm-hmm.
because now Audio Mac is like one of the top downloaded albums in the whole of West Africa. And we were the first to bring them to Africa. So that was like very exciting to see
Mm-hmm.
that as an experience, and to see that we were able to create that impact. But beyond that, really just how much it helped some of the creatives on the ground and the things that they were doing and the audacity that they started to have, because we had some
Mm-hmm.
audacity to like put this on. So it always felt rewarding because it felt like we were doing something that was positive for our community, both here and in Ghana.
And when you're thinking from 5,000 to 12,000 to 16,000, where was your zone of genius? Where were you like, this is where I play the best on this team?
So I played the best on really setting the agenda for what the experience was going to be and the type of partnerships that we would bring on and the type of people that we would highlight and, bring into our ecosystem. Because I always thought about it as the pyramid, right? Time, money, and the resources, and we didn't have any money,
Mm-hmm.
but we did have time,
Yes,
right?
so much
So I
time.
was just kind of like, all right, how do we galvanize support from people in the community? So that was my strategy on really just kind of figuring out the right players to put into our space to kind of promote how we grew. I didn't want us to grow as fast as we had to,
Mm-hmm.
but it was something that we had to kind of move with the punches. Um, and literally, when I understood who were the right people that we needed to connect with, whether it was in Ghana or Nigeria or East Africa or Southern Africa, um, it really just allowed me to create relationships and friendships with people
Mm-hmm.
all over the world. And not only was that great for me, but it was great for the business as well as a way for us to kind of grow it. And what I found is that the universe works in a weird way in that as you build it, the world will galvanize around you to
Mm-hmm.
kind of see it come through. It seems like people were waiting for something like this to happen, and no one had created it in the way that we did. So we were getting a lot of support, and people were emailing to say, "Hey, I want to volunteer. I want to help. I want to show up. Can I showcase this product?" And we were learning about the business as we were kind of building it at the same
Right.
time.
Like business school in action.
Yeah, really.
As you're scaling this quickly and you're the person who's really good with the relationships and the brands and all of these things that now have to be produced, what systems were you putting in place so
Mhm.
that everything wasn't in your mind?
So 2019 is funny. We talk about 2019. 2019 was like my year from hell.
Yeah.
I think about it often.
Mine too.
Yeah, 2019 was
Yeah.
like 2019 was my year from hell.
Mhm.
Not because the festival didn't come out successful, but I wasn't happy with it. Like
Okay.
it wasn't what I wanted it to be because I didn't have time to really put these systems that you're asking about in place because the scale was so hard and also finding money was such a difficult task for us, right? And not only were we in Africa, but a lot of the companies that we were talking to were abroad in America. So really it's about convincing them to come in as partnerships. But also, as I mentioned, we're learning as we go. So we didn't even understand the partnership language per
Right.
se. So that was very difficult. Just spent so much time trying to raise funds to be able to do this. And then there was this expectation, right? Because people had such a great time in 2017 and 2018 when it was a little smaller, that the year of return, like we need to kind of blow it out the water. And then the backdrop is really just understanding where Ghana was. Ghana is very new to tourism. So the influx of people, although very admirable to invite all of these people into the country, wasn't sustainable in a country that wasn't yet prepared for the amount of people that were coming.
Right.
So we dealt with a lot of difficulties that year. Obviously, as we opened up the market, new players came into the market trying to do festivals as well. That made production equipment very scarce. Something as simple as ice that we take for granted here in America. There are 1,000 stores that sell ice. We ran out of ice in the whole country.
Oh,
Like there was no ice for people's buckets. So imagine having a table and trying to do customer service and not being able to provide people ice.
wow. Hmm.
You know, something that simple, or barricades, right? Like we didn't have enough barricades to be able to make sure that we can secure the space. So there was just a lot of logistical issues that we faced. And then flights, right? There was so many people coming in, we couldn't get our artists from Nigeria to Ghana, right? We had a flight book paid for 1 week before the flight, 1 week before the festival. The flight was canceled by the airline. So we had to literally, this is a story, we had to literally rent a military plane.
What?
Yeah, we had to go and rent a military plane from the military.
The fact that you can call the military is the flex that I mean, you have the military on speed dial. That's wow.
Well, so the good news is the stadium that we use for our festival is managed by the military of Ghana, by the Ministry of Defense. And when we started using that venue, nobody had used it in the way, and we transformed the venue. So we had a great relationship with
Okay.
the Ministry of Defense. So when we needed a plane, we ran out of options. There was absolutely no way we were going to do private jets for each and every artist because we couldn't afford that. We could
Right.
barely afford the festival we were throwing,
Right.
right? So we had to get the military plane. And not only that, we actually had to create our own makeshift check-in desk. So we literally created our own boarding passes. And if I can find the pictures, I'll send you these. Because I feel like it would be great to have this as an overlay somewhere.
Yes.
But yeah, we created our own boarding passes for each of the artists. And we had to send someone with the plane to Nigeria. She created her own check-in desk, checked in all of the artists. The artists literally got on the plane.
Oh my God.
And they came. And to this day, it's like a joke with some of the artists because they couldn't believe that they got on that military plane and came to Ghana for us as well. So it was just so many things that we just had to figure out on the go. And, I give a big credit to my team because without them and their patience and their grace and their willingness to just kind of be nimble in some of these scenarios that we were in, we probably wouldn't have made it.
Right.
We were all willing to just kind of turn as we needed to for every obstacle that we kind of went through. And then each year I felt like the things that we thought was the hardest thing ever got easier the next year, right?
Yeah.
Like it
You get
didn't feel as
stronger.
difficult. So like the problems we started facing were bigger and bigger, but it just felt like we knew how to approach it. So in 2019, I found a car and I sat in the car for about an hour just to kind of decompress because I just wanted the festival to be over.
Yeah.
But I learned how to deal with that pressure as the years went by.
Because isn't the irony, sometimes I'll just call my parents and I'm just like, the pressure. But the irony is that, I mean, it's all of these sayings, but you really cannot become the person who you need to be
If you don't go through it.
if you don't go through it. That
Yeah, you can't dodge it.
conditioning.
Yeah, you can't dodge it. You gotta take the hard path. Like this is something I tell my little brothers, and I have a few of them. Always take the hard path because it's gonna show you things. It's gonna teach you a lot about yourself and about your resilience and your grit. And my grandmother in Ghana. So whenever I go back and I greet her and I have her, gather people to pray for us, which is a part of our tradition. And she says, remember, nobody asked you to carry this burden. You carried it on yourself. And it seems so simple, but it was so profound to me because I kept talking about how stressed I was, and I didn't realize this is something I wanted to do. So it was just really about taking control of my scenario and understanding how to, I guess, chop that tree down, one chop at a time. And, that is what I needed to kind of figure out how to digest this entire experience. And ever since she told me that, I think things have been a little bit more, I've been able to frame it in my mind a little bit more effectively. So it doesn't feel as stress. It just feels like a problem that we need to solve.
Because the irony is that if you weren't feeling this stress, it'd be the stress of what am I supposed to be doing?
Exactly.
There's no problem for you. It's just a different set of problems.
Exactly. It's just looking at the problem a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And that made all the difference for me. Because it was a lot. It felt like a lot. And it was because it's almost like you ever been driving somewhere and you don't know where you're going and you ask, are we there yet? Almost like, and then on your way back, it's like, oh, this was a lot closer than. And that's how it felt like, in just putting on these events because we didn't know how to navigate. We didn't know what was going to happen. And, obviously Fire Festival came out. So there was a lot of fear of, hey, we just don't want to be those guys.
Right.
We don't want to be those guys, and obviously a lot of the problems that we were facing also weren't things that were caused by us. There were a lot of intricacies. We had to be policy writers. We had to be, architects. We had to be health and safety. We had to be festival producers. We had to deal with talent, almost like counselors. We had to be a whole bunch of things at once while figuring out how to put this festival together. So it was like a masterclass.
And a lot of founders find it really hard to get out of everything that's in their head. And you mentioned a lot team. You mentioned if it wasn't for the team, if we weren't able to build with the team, a lot of founders I find are kind of in their own way in terms of, I can't let anyone else do it. They're not going to do it like me. What if I can't trust them? Did you ever go through that? How did you overcome that?
No, my philosophy is really just teamwork. Teamwork is my philosophy through and through. I learned that I had to be more stern. I had to be a little bit more firm about what needed to happen, who needed to make it happen, and accountability, how to do that. But always encouraging people to be a part of it and, and asking for their opinion. I thought those things were very important to being able to navigate the cultures that existed in Ghana. So there was a cultural nuance, which is another added layer of difficulty that you had to navigate in doing events in Ghana because you had to understand the language within the language. And in order to be able to do that, I needed to be able to make sure that we were one band, one sound, right? And that was something that came natural to me because I want community. I wanted people to feel that they can see themselves as owning a piece of this. So, Kenny owned the operations, Edward owned the design, and the branding. Khadija owned the stage and the music. Nobody interfered with her, and it took us over years. We learned how to, manage our, I guess, how we kind of separated the duties that we were supposed to work on.
And was there ever a situation, I mean, of course there have been, where it's kind of like, this isn't working. How do you identify that? How do you handle that? I think for a lot of people, it can be, obviously when it's working and it's scaling and it's great, you love that. But when there's a situation where it's like, this is not a fit, how do you handle that?
That is something that's bound to happen in any organization. People
Yeah.
might have different ideas and people might have different thoughts. And we had a lot of that. We went through a lot of that. But for me, is to continue to have the conversation. I truly believe in trying to make people see my perspective. It's important for me to make sure that you understand why this is important with all the teams, with all the people that I work with. But also, I'm very firm at letting people say, "All right, let's try it your way." And if it doesn't work, now we know we can pivot into to where I felt like is important. I didn't want to dictate. I didn't want it to be a very top down organization. I wanted everybody to feel like they can have input. But I would exercise executive rights or executive decisions if I felt like it needed to. And I was okay with, I guess eating the cost of, however the chips fell. But myself and Kenny were really good at making sure that we were always on the same page. Like if we had a conversation between you and I and you had a conversation with Kenny, we probably would say it the same
The
way.
exact same thing.
Yeah. So him and I, people always often found it that they felt we shared a brain, but we were just very aligned in our goals and how we wanted to achieve it. And we knew the most important thing was getting the job done. It wasn't about who was the person who got it done. It was just about getting the job done.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think you have to be one band, one sound.
Yeah.
But also to your point, you have to let people kind of make, their own decisions within reason.
Yeah.
Because, a tribe with no leader, we're all just running in circles,
Yeah,
right? There has to be the
absolutely.
balances there.
Absolutely. But it took some time for me to really get to that point where I understood that you have to be able to be okay in leadership with everybody not being happy with the decision
I
that you
know,
make.
that's so hard.
It's the hard part. And also you have to make the decision, right? When you're looking for something to happen, somebody has to make a decision. And and but it's okay to listen to people and take advice and be open to perspectives other than yours. And one of the things that I tried to do in my years as the leader of our company is really just make sure that I take into consideration people's thoughts, but always being prepared to make that decision.
Is there a special way? I always am so curious about leaders and how they structure their day and how they structure their week. So obviously we just caught you international travel. You just got in.
Yes, I did.
When you look at a week, are Mondays for certain things, are Wednesdays for certain things, or does it really just depend what's on the calendar?
I admire you and your sabbaticals. Like I can't wait till I can master my time in that way. But for so many years, I mean, Morgan just asked the question about, side gigs, what people were doing. I professionally worked in cancer research. since 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty high up. Like, I was a global trial manager overseeing clinical trials across the world. I was doing this while building the festival.
Wait, how did I never know this? What? I did not be.
Yeah,
Wow.
I have
Okay.
been doing this for years while managing the festival. But like, to be fair, it was a passion of mine. I loved clinical research. My degree is in biopsychology. I have a master's in public health. But I also love entertainment and I love the storytelling component. And I didn't want to have to choose which side of myself I wanted to feed. But what I found very, very early on was that it was so easy to do the festival stuff because it was like a passion.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I loved. And then eventually the festival stuff and all the business culture management just got so big that I couldn't manage it. But I say all of that to say that whatever time I had, I spent working. And I usually love my Sunday mornings to be able to have, a very quiet Sunday morning. But all my time pretty much was dedicated to, if I wasn't working the 9 to 5, I was building this. And because my team was all over the world, I needed to be available for everyone. So
Right.
whether you were in Canada, you were in Cali, you were in South Africa, you were in Ghana or London, I needed to be able to make sure that if we had a call, I was on it to support. And we had partnerships call with people from Egypt, from Morocco, from all over the world. So those hours are very different from ours, right? So if they needed to have a call and it was 3 in the morning, I was waking up at 3 in the morning to take that call. So in the beginning,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, as we grew, where we had now established partners, we had established brand, things had changed. I have a lot more control over my time.
But that's such a good point because I think a lot of times people think of seasons within a year.
Yeah.
But seasons can encompass years, right? So
Yeah.
it's years of having to wake up at 3 and 4 to, take calls from Egypt, but it's not forever.
No, it's not forever.
And I loved what Morgan, asked in terms of like, what are your side gigs? Because I think people have to be, more honest in terms of you're thinking of this as a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
This is also, it's income.
Yeah, it's income.
Because money stress is a different kind of stress.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was working, as a full-time publicist, and so many people said, why don't you just quit? Just do CultureCon full time.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's gonna pay for it.
I'm like, who's paying for this?
My life? Who's paying for my life?
Who's financing this?
Yeah, who's financing it?
And so, a lot of it, I think, is let the rubber band get to it where it's about to break, and then you can kind of make a decision.
And that's what I did. I needed to be able to, for me and Kenny, it was always about my team before us, right? So if we had money, we were paying our team. We just wanted to make sure our team was good.
Right.
And we would hold off until, we would be okay, right? So we had jobs, he had a job, I have a job, and we would manage our experience and until we were able to do it. And that was more important to us at the time. But now we're in a position where we have business. Obviously, we're working with the Basketball Africa League. We just did Detroit. We have multiple festivals now. We have multiple events happening throughout the year. We have partnerships that are, multi-year that are allowing us to be able to sustain, right? And that allows us the freedom to be able to be more flexible with our time and have more time for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it took us some time, but, I think it was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, a lot of people often think about the end product. For me and like my partner, when we speak about joy, it's talking about how far we've come. I remember the day before Detroit, I was walking through Detroit and people was surprised that I wasn't stressed out at all. Because I already knew what was gonna happen. We had put in the work already, so we knew how it was gonna go. I was absolutely not stressed out. I had a blast over the 2 days. I actually partied. The first 3 years of the festival, I didn't see any of my friends. So not only was I throwing a festival in Ghana, my friends came and I couldn't hang out with them.
Mm.
So that was difficult for them to come to my country, come to my event, have a blast. And I had no time with them because I was busy working a random part of the festival. But for me to be able to be in the crowd and be able to experience the experience that they're experiencing is a blessing. You know what I mean? That was a big blessing for me. And, after 8 years, we deserve that, right? So it tells us how far we've come. Sometimes the partnership discussions we have, or the things we're able to do or buy. It's just kind of like, wow, we have the opportunity to do this now, whereas before it was just such a it was such a task, right? To be able to make these things happen. So I always believe people should focus on their journey, because that journey, that joy is just that's where the joy is, for you to be able to see progress in real time.
Because without it, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it on social where they say the reason you're unhappy is because you keep moving the goalpost.
Yeah.
Like you're never, ever satisfied or ever, ever proud of yourself.
You have to be where your feet is.
Wow. Now take us
100%.
to Detroit. What was the strategy there? Congratulations. It was
Absolutely.
huge.
Thank you.
How did that come about?
So Bedrock was our partner in Detroit, and Bedrock really is a real estate company that owns about 80% of downtown Detroit. And they've been figuring out a way to be able to galvanize people to see Detroit as a thriving metropolis. So for the past 2 years, they have been throwing an Afrobeats festival, but they hadn't gotten an opportunity to really tap into Detroit's magic.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, we saw an opportunity to really speak to a community that is our audience, right? Because our goal is to be able to connect the global Black diaspora, no matter where they are, in America, in Europe, in Brazil, anywhere you are, you're welcome to what we're doing on the continent, because there's just so much happening there. And Detroit is obviously one of the Blackest cities in America. There's a lot of creativity, historical music, historical, fashion, so many things that are great about Detroit. They hardly get a chance to really tell their story. And here we are as a brand that is speaking to the audience that's right there in Detroit. And we got an opportunity to first set up a committee in Detroit to say, what is it that you feel is the best way we should approach this? This is who we are. We want to learn who you guys are, and we want to make sure that you're a part of our experience.
Oh, I love that.
And we started working with the committee, and then we started partnerships into the community. So we worked through a block party with Chanel Dominique, who is a manager for Ice Vezo and a few of the artists in Detroit. And obviously, like Detroit young Black people hardly have venues to be able to do the things that they want to do. So us partnering with Chanel and her team was such a big deal for her, and we were able to do that. We partnered with We 1313, which is a community organization that is helping to keep the community healthy and running and getting energized and bringing them together. And that was a beautiful experience. We're inviting them to Ghana. We did deeper partnerships with Pencil Lewis College, which is kind of like a design HBCU in Detroit, and they focus on shoe wear and
Wow.
clothing and merch. And we gave their students an opportunity to design our merch. So we were really figuring out ways to deeply integrate ourselves into the community and also giving back. Did a partnership with Black Tech Saturdays and Venture 313 to give out $32,000 in Detroit. And we at every step of the way, we wanted to tell stories of people who were doing it in Detroit. So we had stories around Chef Bamba, who did a remix with McDonald's.
Yes.
We had artists do murals for Hennessy and Jack Daniels, right? So we told a lot of stories around Detroit talent. We told stories about the cars, everything that about Detroit was a part of our experience, and we wanted to make sure that the people there felt seen, and we wanted them to know that we want you to be a part of our community. And it starts here in Detroit, where you can learn a little bit about our culture, but ultimately we want you to visit Ghana. And that was our approach. And I think that the city responded to that in a way that was very positive.
I want to go back to 2019.
Yeah.
I know we didn't spend a lot of time there, but I think a lot of founders are there.
Yeah.
They aren't yet in a place where it's like, wow, look how far I've come. And even if it is how far I've come, I'm still not where I want to be. I'm still needing to find a car and decompress. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overworked. And I think, one of the things I've been really reflecting on is, every year AfroFuture comes around and it's bigger and it's better. And sometimes, I don't know about you, but I forget about those 3 weeks leading up, how hard they are.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, it is excruciatingly hard.
Oh, I haven't told you how hard it is. We've had some Some crazy ones.
And I want to sit in that hardness, because I do think that even for me, and I love what you said, it's like you do get stronger, but I don't know if it gets less hard. You just get stronger.
You just get stronger 100%.
And so how were you dealing with the overwhelm, the everyone calling? Because I know how everyone's calling your phone.
Yeah.
Everybody's emailing you the day before, can they get VIP
Everyone
tickets?
wants a free ticket.
Everybody wants a table the morning of.
Everybody wants something, yeah.
How were you mentally dealing with all of this stress?
Yeah, that's the crazy part. I wasn't. I wasn't at all. It was a very, very daunting time for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it had been, I would say, around 2019 up until maybe 2021, because right after 2019, we were able to accomplish that hard year, and we were hoping, like, now we've proved ourselves. 3 years, 2020, we're gonna kill it. And then boom, the world is shut down. I remember maybe for 6 months after the world has shut down, I could not come up with any ideas.
Mm.
And as bad as COVID was, and so many people, God rest their souls, that was, to me, God telling me to sit down and really kind of take care of yourself. And those 6 months gave me an opportunity to really reflect on the years past and reflect on all the things I neglected. Like, I forgot about hobbies I enjoyed. Like, I forgot about, you know, just connecting with people to talk about nothing.
Right.
Just enjoy ourselves, and those are the things that I got to do during the pandemic, right? We would do Zooms and cook with each other on the Zoom. We would just have calls and just chat, that was an amazing time for me to reset. It gave me an opportunity to really kind of reflect on what was important, like I'm sure everybody did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that gave me that rest I needed, because I was just going. I felt like I was in I guess, a trance, if you may, where I was just kind of going, and I didn't even realize that I wasn't taking care of myself. So those 6 months after the pandemic gave me an opportunity to really just kind of pause and take a assessment of everywhere I had been and everything I had done, and really chart a path forward about how I'm going to treat myself. So I started, learning about therapy. I started learning about confiding in my friends about some of the problems I was going through. I started learning how to ask for help
Mm-hmm.
from people, and really just connecting with people on a personal. I remember we spoke during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and we spoke about some of these things, and it was just kind of like, a time for me to just really assess what I was going to do. And I know everybody was doing the lives, and I wasn't running to do any of those things, and I couldn't understand why.
Okay, because I think, to your point, it was a once in a lifetime, probably not going to happen again.
Yeah,
The whole world stopped.
the whole world stopped.
To
Yeah,
your point, everyone was running to do lives and pivoting. I went to my parents' house in Georgia
yeah,
and just listened to the birds sing.
yeah.
It
I
was
was,
so,
I was just on the couch. I was like trying to make bread. I didn't care to do a live, and I couldn't understand why, because I
yeah.
kept asking myself, why aren't you, like, do you want to? And I didn't want to do a live. I didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
do any of those things. So it was cool for me to just watch
Yeah.
what other people were doing, and really just kind of take that time to reflect. So, but yeah, when you talk about taking care of yourself, I think that's one of the most important things people forget when they're trying to build a business.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's hard to kind of think about that when you feel like you're in a survival mode. And for us, when we first started the organization, we did a SWOT analysis. And we understood that one of the threats that we would have is that we would create a space, and others would come in and co-opt the space because they have more money, they have more access. And that was happening to us in real time. And although, we had a lot of influence in the space, we were never, I guess, comfortable that we had it to ourselves
Mm-hmm.
in a way. And we always felt like threatened in a way for those, I guess, after year 3. And I needed to, that was more important to make sure we solidified our legacy than it was to kind of take care of myself. So taking care of myself took a backseat. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Saying, oh, myself, my partner as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to make sure that we were secure. But After a while, I realized what's for me is for me. So there's no such thing as
Right.
securing anything. Like you can't do anything to stop anything from happening. You just kind of got to roll with the punches. And that was what you forget. Even though you're like doing it, you kind of forget in real time almost.
And you also forget that what kind of got you there was what people resonated with.
Exactly.
And I think it is human to look to the right, to the left, and be like, "Oh, wait, this wasn't here before."
Yeah,
But sometimes it can become a little obsessive, and you
absolutely.
forget about the main thing.
And that was me. I was there. I was in that obsessive cycle. And another thing 2019 taught me is that you really just got to focus on your own plate.
Mhm.
Like you can't worry about nobody's plate. Because we did a thing where we end up spending so much money on talent, more than we would, because we were trying to compensate for everything else that was happening. And I feel like when I think back about and I reflect on that time, I think that if we would have just focused on what we did best, I think we would have felt better about the scenario. Now, our audience was happy because people still came back, but we weren't so happy about it. Like,
Right.
I don't remember being as happy about the festival in general till 2021.
What?
I was happy that people enjoyed themselves.
Right,
I was
right.
happy that it was this thing. But as far as like really being happy with the product I put out, 2021 would probably be the first time I was like, oh, okay, this is what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. And I knew that it was just gonna get better from there. Right. So 3 years we were trying to figure it out. We got to our peak in 2019, and then a year off with pandemic, and then 2021, we like, "Oh, we back." That's how I felt. I felt like, that was gonna we were in our, I guess, what's the way? Runway mode. I
Mhm.
guess, yeah.
Mhm.
We were in that mode where the sky is the limit.
And going back to, like, being in certain modes and even, like, the sustainability of it all, I agree with you. I think a lot of us are thinking, "I will rest later. I have to
Yeah.
work
Right
now.
now, yeah.
And if I don't get this right now, I'm never gonna have it."
Yeah.
How has that evolved for you over time? I know you're still working through the sabbaticals,
Yeah.
but how through, like, seasonality have you been able to say, "Wait, I'm a little off," and what does that how can you tell that you're exhausted? What does that look like?
Oh, I stopped doing things that didn't speak to my soul.
Mhm.
So before I felt like I needed to be everywhere, I don't feel that way anymore. I pick and choose what I want to do. That has drastically saved me a lot of time.
Yes.
It goes back to what I told you my grandmother said, which was just kind of like you carry this burden. And the reason why that's important is because it has allowed me to really understand that I just need to kind of do things that make me happy. So I've been focusing more on doing those kind of things. I've been leaning more into understanding that what's for me is for me, and it would never pass me by.
Mhm.
That has allowed me to be a lot more grateful. Also, recently, I've just been feeling like, wow, God forbid if today was my last day, am I happy with what I've accomplished? And more, I'm very happy and proud of what I've been able to accomplish in my short time. Right? I love how many people we've been able to get exposed to the continent. I love how many people, creators, we've been able to put on. I love how many stars we've been able to break. I love that we got people talking about the continent and visiting the continent as often as they are. I love that there's a discourse right now about Africa. You have so many celebs, so many businesses that are looking at Africa as viable, and all that came from some of the work that we started. The NFL did a whole commercial in Ghana because of the work that we did. A whole TV show that we always watch and did a whole scene in Ghana. Like all of those things go back to some of the work that we've been doing, and I've been grateful that we've been able to give people jobs. We've been able to, stimulate our economy in Ghana. We've become ambassadors to our country. There's so many accomplishments like that we've been able to
Wow.
achieve. So what is there not to be proud of? Like, you know what I mean? And that is what I've been telling myself, that, I gotta give myself grace for what I want to accomplish and not get lost in that mode, because life
Mhm.
is for the living.
Right.
Life is for the living.
Like, what a blessing to be grateful for your life while you're still in it.
Yeah, you have to be able to kinda, like, live the life that you have right in front of you right now, and that's what I've been focusing on right now.
I really love that, and, earlier this summer, we kind of saw across socials a lot of commentary about the diaspora and who gets to claim certain cultures and who's invited to certain conversations. What were your thoughts on that?
You know, one of the things that I've learned over the years is that we tend not to listen to each other.
Mhm.
It's very important when we have these conversations about the diaspora to listen to what people are actually saying and what people are actually feeling, and understanding nuance, right? Because the experience of Black people in Africa is very different from the experience of Black people in Europe or in America or Brazil or anywhere around the world. And those experiences that people have in here in America are unique to them, and those ones in Africa are unique to them. But it doesn't mean that anyone's experience is more valuable than anybody else's experience or harder than everyone's experience. It's just really about having empathy for each other and understanding each other. The reason why we exist is because we want to celebrate each other. We want to be able to share our stories with each other, through our festival and through the content that we create. And I think that once we understand and know each other more and have an appreciation for each other's cultures, we won't have space to demonize or otherize or feel like ours is better, right?
Mhm.
But the algorithm right now is I guess it's tethered towards making sure we have these intra arguments that we are having right now. But I tend to not allow that to dominate the narrative, because when I think about it, there's a small percentage of that, but the greater majority of the people that are doing the work, that are understanding and that are looking to understand, are doing that. And
Mhm.
that's what's important to me. So I tend to not feed into that. I'm aware it exists, and I'm aware, there are some people who are perpetuating these narratives and these talks. But my advice to people is really try to listen to people, try to have empathy, try to understand perspectives, right? It's a I guess it's a privilege to wake up in a country where everyone looks like you,
Mhm.
and you don't have to even think about what you look like,
Mhm.
right? You can just be. And it's also a privilege to be able to grow up in a space where you can get a job, you can take care of your family, you can eat, you can have access to things like light, water, running water, right? We all have privileges that we enjoy, but we also have our challenges that we experience. And I think that we often think about our perspectives as the measure, but that's not really the measure. Everybody has their own experience, and we need to respect that.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I almost thought I was like, "Right now, this is what I just."
I mean, people don't have nothing.
There's so much to talk
There's
about,
so
but
much to talk about.
I really I mean, similar to how you were saying, back during the pandemic, you were just, like, watching the lives. I was so surprised that this was an anchored argument, and again, to your point, the algorithm does wanna push you,
To the
um,
negative.
to the negative, but
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that it caught such a foothold, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, we don't know much about each other. Like, you have to think about it. So for so long, all of our narratives were told to us,
Right.
right? And we're in a place now where we can now own our narratives, but there's so much education. There's an educational gap. Somebody living in America who has not visited the continent doesn't have enough context to understand what it's like growing up in Africa. But also, beyond the movies, the cartoon, the things that you're told about Americans, and those Americans are on the coastal areas, right? The New Yorks, the
Right.
Atlantas. Like, you don't even know about the
The
Midwest and what's
Midwest. What's
happening.
the Midwest?
You don't
Right.
you don't know anything about and you've never been around them. You don't have a very deep understanding of each other's culture or experiences or the issues that they're facing. And because we have that lack of context, there is this thing where we are made to kind of be pit against each other,
Mhm.
right? Even when you think about the way they draw out the stats and talk about, well, this community are this the most doctors compared to this, and it's like, well, everybody has different needs and everybody has different resources and everybody has different experiences. So we need to be able to learn more about each other and understand that we're not each other's enemy. We have way more in common than we do have that separates us. And the reality is, until we figure out a way to come together, there's no value in kind of tearing each other apart.
Absolutely. What advice would you give yourself once you were just starting out? If you could go back and you're about to start from the beginning,
Mhm.
what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself to take care of myself a lot more,
Mm-hmm.
to rest more,
Yeah.
and to be content, right? More about what I was talking about earlier about being where my feet is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for so long while building this company, I was not where my feet was.
Yeah.
I was always where I aspired to be and not where I was at. And that made me miss a lot of moments that I would have loved to cherish.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when I think back on those moments or the things that I may have missed or the experiences I may have missed, um, it's one area that I have, I guess, regret. I think regret is too strong of a word because I'm happy with where it ended up. But I wish I had a lot more. I wish I'd had allowed myself to savor those moments a lot more. And I think that that is what I would tell myself to really just kind of appreciate where your feet is at.
Mm. And I feel like that's the kind of lesson that you can implement like today, right?
Yeah,
Because it's kind of like
absolutely.
you could get to be 55 and be like, oh my gosh, I was in my young 30s, my 20s, and I still wasn't where my feet were.
100%. 100%. Now I'm doing that. Like if I just want to be home, I'm gonna be home.
Oh yeah.
Like if
FOMO is not real to me.
there's
I
no
look
such
at it, I'm
thing.
like, y'all have fun.
Yeah, there's no like it actually does not affect me at all. It doesn't matter what it is.
Did it
Like,
ever?
there was a time where I was just kind of like, feel like I'm missing out. Like, oh man, I can't believe it. But now there's absolutely no experience where I feel like, oh man, I missed out. No, because, you know, I had to really understand that these experiences are really what you make it when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if you're not there, you can't allow that to affect. Because I've been in scenarios where I've gone to something that everyone made it, and it was like that's not all it's cracked out to be.
Yeah. I mean,
So
it's marketing.
it's marketing. So I just need to just be where my feet is at. Really, that's my focus. My
Mm-hmm.
focus is to really focus on just appreciating the time I have with my family right now, the time I have with myself, the time I have with my friends, because I realize those are the things that charge me up. They fill my cup. And, as much as I love my business, as much as I love the community I built around my business, that's my business. But
Yeah.
my life is the people that I make it with. And enjoying my time with myself and with them is something that I need to prioritize just as much as I prioritize my business. So
Mm.
finding that balance, it has been key for me. And for the last, what would I say, 3 years, I've been striving on that journey to just
Mm-hmm.
find that balance. Yeah.
Tell us about December. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
gonna.
December is going to be very exciting. We took a break from doing the major festival at the stadium last year. We introduced a new property called the Culture Beach Jam on the shores of Accra, which was successful as well. But this year we're back at the stadium. We have a lot of really cool activations happening in December this year. We're starting off with a celebrity game with the Basketball Africa League.
Wow.
Last year was very successful, so the BAL wants to come back to Accra. So we're starting off with a beautiful basketball game. Very exciting to do that. And we have 2 days of the festival, the 28th and 29th. This year, we want to introduce a lot more cultures. So we're bringing in some wrestlers from Senegal. We're bringing
Mm-hmm.
in some masquerade dancers from Benin and some other really cool installations from all over Africa because we want to tell a story beyond Ghana's borders. And then we're bringing back our fashion night out.
Oh, nice.
As you know, African designers are doing some amazing work right now, and then we seal it off with our annual New Year's Eve party with PBO, and that's just kind of like surface level, the main events. There are a whole lot more events that are happening in between
So
that.
many events. CultureCon will be there. I mean, I feel
Looking
like
forward to it.
you can't miss it.
No, no, no. We have but beyond that, we'll have the workshops, the music camps, the panel discussions, the fireside chats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Africa is celebrating their 15th year. We're
Wow.
looking to do a dinner with them. So there are a lot of, small intimate events that will happen beyond the major events as well.
We're so thankful for you,
Of course.
what you and the team are doing. And I
Thank
feel
you.
like you talked about legacy. It's already cemented. And
Absolutely.
we're so honored. I want to play Abdul's favorite things.
Yes, let's do it.
What's your favorite day of the week?
My favorite day of the week, I think it's Sunday.
Okay.
Sunday for sure, 100%.
Mhm.
I was born on a Sunday, so
Okay.
I'm 100% positive it's a Sunday.
That makes, I mean, I was born on a Monday, and Monday's my favorite
Oh,
day.
really? Yeah. Really?
I know, it's like the start of a new year. My
Yeah,
friends are like,
I get it.
"What?"
Yeah, Sunday's my favorite day. I actually don't want to do anything on Sunday.
What's your favorite way to say no?
I'll think about it.
Okay. I'll think about it. It's a no from me, dog.
I'll think about it. Yeah, I need to start saying no more.
Just
though,
no.
100%.
What is your favorite way to relax?
My favorite way to relax is to go to the spa.
Okay.
I'm a big bathhouse person.
Mhm.
You know, if you find me, I'll be at a bathhouse. That's my best way to relax. And or be by the water.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
if I just find a water body and I could sit by it and I could just hear this, you know, the splashes,
Mhm.
that's good enough for me.
Well,
So
I can hear that right now. It's so
yeah, so
calming.
it's like either like the splashes of water or a spa for sure,
Mhm.
100%.
What has been your favorite season, meaning season of your life that you were going through?
I'd say right now,
Mhm.
you know, to have the confidence to let go of the 9 to 5, to really be intentional about spending time with my friends, spending time with my family, and continue to build my business. My business is in good shape. You know, right now is my favorite season. Like, you know, I feel like the confidence is there. I also have the poise. Like, you
Mhm.
know, I'm really letting it come to me. So pretty happy about that.
And I mean, this isn't a favorite thing, but you talked about audacity, and this is the
Mhm.
second time I've heard audacity.
Yeah.
Talked about audacity, the audacity to leave your job,
Yeah.
the audacity to bet on yourself.
Hmm.
Where did that come from?
Like I saw my parents build it from nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like they've built a lot, and they came here with nobody, right? And they built a really great foundation for me and my brothers and sisters. We have so much
Mhm.
from just them. And now I am growing up in America, the greatest country in the world, one of the greatest countries in the world. And I've had all these privileges that have been afforded to me because of their sacrifices and all the things that they had to go through. I don't have a choice but to be the best me. But also beyond that, I have younger siblings. I have to be an example for them and ensure that they have someone to look up to, someone to have a reference point from, right? So I'm the first generation that went to college here so that they could go to college. And I got a job, corporate, so they can get a job. And, you know, I built a business so they can do that. And, you know, I pay my bills so they can pay their bills and so on and so forth. So, you know, I'm very happy that I've been able to kind of make, you know, be that vehicle for my family as well.
Are
Yeah.
you're the eldest?
I'm one of the oldest. I'm the
That
second,
that's
the
how
oldest boy.
the oldest boy, we have a whole theory running
Yeah.
in terms of the eldest boy. I'll tell you
Yeah.
about that later. But,
I'm looking
Abdul,
forward to it.
thank you so much for
Of course.
joining
Of
us.
course. Thank you for having me.
It's gonna be a really incredible December.